Think pisses me off more than entitled adults who think that they're above teenagers. This video is so funny to me because it exposes the fragile ego of Dr. Phil. Now, regardless of this girl's situation, Dr. Phil had zero right to talk to her in the way that he did. And you can see throughout the video that the girl is so remorseful and so apologetic for anything that she might have said. Dr. Phil does not care though. Dr. Phil is ruthless. Dr. Phil is like that one stereotypical adult that looks down upon all teenagers simply because they didn't work as hard as he did. This isn't the only example, too, of Dr. Phil being such a fucking piece of shit. There are so many articles on this guy just being a complete piece of shit and the fucking toxic workplace that he enables. The fact that this show even labels itself as a comprehensive forum to discuss psychological issues is just hilarious to me. The way that he puts down this girl should be the antithesis of what a good psychological forum does. This doesn't educate anybody. This just goes on to feed his own ego, to get more clicks on the internet, and to possibly get more viewers on for the next week's show. Regardless, though, the main theme that you'll get from this story is that Dr. Phil takes shit from absolutely nobody, and the crowd seems to love it too.
Not good.
Yeah, why is that?
I was told that y'all brought someone here that I explicitly said not to bring.
Yeah, who's that?
My biological mother.
Would you like to leave? Because you can certainly leave, because nobody tells me who to put on my show, including you.
Okay.
So if you don't...
Hook, bang, and sinker. This guy just put this girl in her place. The way that this girl had the nerve, the gall, the chutzpah to even get on the show and to tell Dr. Phil who he can or can't put on the show, how dare she? Cares if this girl's mother might have been completely abusive in almost every step of the way. How dare you tell Dr. Phil, this little man who's had to work his way up through so many obstacles, who he can and can't put on his show?
If you think you're entitled enough to tell me who comes on here and who doesn't, somebody has given you a really bad message.
Of course, yeah, no. If you
So
would like
who
to,
was it that told you that I was agreed to not bring somebody here?
one of your producers.
Okay, who is it? Let's bring him out. Who was it?
I would just love to know what was going on in his mind to think that this girl is being entitled to not want someone to be put on his show. To some people, even sharing a room with someone else can be so traumatizing, and the way that he just completely shuts her down is honestly kind of impressive. The type of asshole you have to be to even consider doing this is astronomically large.
Of course, yeah, no. If you
So
would like
who
to,
was it that told you that I was agreed to not bring somebody here?
one of your producers.
Okay, who's it? Let's bring him out. Who was it?
I believe it was Stephanie.
Okay, let's bring Stephanie out, because I'll guarantee you she didn't tell you that I agreed to not bring somebody to this show. You may have told her you didn't want that to happen, but she didn't tell you that was not going to happen. I'll promise you that.
Yeah, Dr. Phil, you tell that girl with a very apparent mental illness who wouldn't be on your show if it weren't for it. You tell that girl, you put that girl in her place. He can assure you of that.
So we'll just find this out right now,
Okay.
because you may live in fantasy land, but I do not.
Absolutely.
This crowd is just hilarious too. The way that they just eat up all the shit that he says. Everyone in this crowd has to be like some sort of parent that thinks that their teenager is just incredibly rebellious.
Stephanie, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh yeah, let's bring out the person that you had multiple private conversations with, and let's put that all out on the internet. Let's put that all out on national TV. Psychological forum, my ass. If you think that your text messages with this producer aren't going to be part of the forum, you got another thing coming.
Remember I told you, I just said, I don't know.
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know. That's what I said. And I said that Dr. Phil wanted her to be here.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
just said, I have no idea what's going to go on.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I told you.
Okay, well, that's different than what you just said.
I've been
Stephanie, how
trained to
long
say
how
yes,
long have you and I
ma'am.
been working together? 16 years, correct?
Yeah.
I really don't see how that last part of that statement was relevant. Stephanie, how long have you been sucking my cock? 16 years, Dr. Phil. Thank you, Stephanie.
We talked on the phone last night, and I asked you if she was coming in, if she was coming on a plane. You said I can't put her on a plane.
God, this girl can't even put a sentence together. She is so obviously embarrassed. And who wouldn't be embarrassed in the situation? Dr. Phil just puts you on the spot like this and expects you to answer. He brings out someone that you've had numerous private conversations with.
Tonight, there's no flights that come out tonight.
But Bailey,
Yes.
I told you I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, you tell her. God, this is just such a sad video to watch.
Control over that. And
'Cause
I
you
can't
have no control
you.
over me.
That's right.
That's for certain, Dr. Phil. No one has any control over you, except maybe the executives. Nobody has control over you, definitely. Again, remember, this show is supposed to be a psychological forum.
I would never.
And seriously, what is the rule with the producers here? You don't make deals for me, right?
That's right.
What do you tell people when they ask you what I'm going to talk about or not talk about or do or not do?
I always say I have no idea.
Because
It's
you
up to
don't.
Dr. Phil, because I don't know.
Because I don't know.
That's right.
I don't understand what the point of him showboating here in front of everybody is. Wow, you're so manly. You have so much control over your producers. What do you gain out of doing this? If you truly wanted to discuss her problems and her mental illness, maybe even discuss it with someone that's close to her, like her mother, you would not have done this. You wouldn't embarrass her in the way that you've done. And you certainly wouldn't have brought out the producer. What person with a right working mind would ever even do this? What is wrong with you?
No, I don't. I don't until I get out here and see what has to be said. But
Yeah.
if the situation was your mother wasn't going to be here, you wouldn't be here. So I would, it ain't even a close call. I would never consider you being here without your mother being here. So
Trauma be set aside. If you weren't gonna be here without your mother, let that be known. Let that be your excuse when God sends you to hell.
that was never even a close call. Now, she doesn't know that because we haven't talked about that. My producers don't tell me what clinically I'm going to do or not do. I make that decision.
Absolutely.
So you can pout or be upset or whatever you want to do, but that is what it is. And if you don't like that, then you can always go home.
Of course, yeah.
Again, psychological forum. Just none of this makes sense. I don't see how any of this helps anybody except yourself. Just feeding into your own ego like this. The way that the producers too have just marketed this video is just hilarious. You really talked down to the girl and put her in her place. The people defending this too are just hilarious. Though the majority of the comments are hateful for this fucker. There'll be the occasional comment that gloats about how badly this girl was put in her place by Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
So tell me, you want to proceed or you want to?
We can proceed. Yeah.
It's up to you.
I just.
I really want to talk to you, and I really want to talk to you, and I really want to help you, but
I don't live in fantasy land.
Jesus Christ, what an uncomfortable moment to watch. Clearly the girl had no malintent in saying this. She wasn't here to fucking post her dominance on Dr. Phil. But Dr. Phil took that as an attack on his ego. He took that as an attack on his personality. And the girl was generous enough to stay with the production, with the audience that was clearly already against her since the moment that she walked out. It's also just incredible how manipulative Dr. Phil is in this clip. He really tries to put this ball into her court by telling her that she's willing to do what she wants. What a benevolent figure. He's allowing her to choose what she wants, what she can do in the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes of filming. A real stand-up guy. Now, if you thought that we were done with watching clips from Dr. Phil being a snarky asshole from just this same interview, you have got me fucked up. You clearly do not know Dr. Phil. You clearly have not watched an episode of his. In this 1 minute and 55 clip, Dr. Phil exposes to the world who he truly is.
say that you truly think it's the love story of the century. Really?
I do, yes. I'm writing a book about it, actually.
God, how stupid can you be? How stupid can you be? To say these ridiculous things on my stage? To say that you're gonna write a book about a love story that you and emotions that you genuinely feel?
It's the love story of the century, but you've never physically met.
Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And in this instance, Dr. Phil realized that he wasn't dealing with any normal patient. That he needed to get this girl off of his stage as soon as possible. Not because she was doing anything malicious or anything that could be considered hurtful or threatening or anything like that. He just needed to get her off her stage. He probably found her boring.
And y'all can laugh at me. It's fine. I will be your spectacle. I will be your laughing spectacle. You can all laugh at me. It's
Well,
fine.
you know what?
God, this scene just gets so incredibly uncomfortable to continue Clearly, Dr. Phil has ridiculed her all throughout the interview, putting into question her feelings and her emotions. She has been put on a pedestal for the rest of the audience, who view this not as a genuine psychological form, because you obviously can't have that on a national television program, but views it as entertainment.
I think we're just going to shut this down because I'm not into all this melodrama and you playing the victim.
If she's the one playing the victim, Dr. Phil, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing up on this stage, asserting your dominance over a girl that you barely had met up until that point, asserting your dominance over a girl who's crying, physically in tears, and emotionally unstable, and she's the one being manipulative.
Out of you. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I do. I had you come here to help you. And you're saying people are ridiculing, making fun of you, you're going to be a spectacle. I don't want to be any part of that.
Wow, Dr. Phil, you really are a saint. You really are shielding your audience's eyes from this manipulative girl who needs to clearly not only be kicked off of the stage, but probably out of the country.
So I'm not.
I'm sorry. So, you know what? This has just gone in a really bad direction. I'm going to talk with Jasmine. I'm going to talk with your mother. And I'm just going to let you head on home. And
This shit that she's being manipulative, this bullshit that he just came up with out of nowhere, this melodrama. Do you really think that Dr. Phil hasn't seen worse? Do you sincerely think that Dr. Phil, this guy who's been running his program for probably a decade up until this point, he's obviously been a licensed psychologist before. Not anymore, though. He lost his license in 2006. You're really going to stand up here and tell me that this is really the worst case of this, that it was so bad that you had to kick her off the stage? Get the fuck out of here.
Go, because
Is there
I'm not going
anything
to play.
I can say to fix this? I'm so sorry.
No, all of this melodrama about ridiculing the audience and they can laugh at you and all that. I don't play those kind of games. You're very manipulative, and I'm not interested in all of that.
Wow, Dr. Phil the Saint. He's not interested in any of the manipulative comments, but he'll gladly listen on to more manipulation if it meant getting more views. Now, my theory on what happened here is that Dr. Phil obviously got bored of hearing this girl's story, so he just had to come up with some bullshit as excuse to get her off the stage. Dr. Phil, though, however, is obviously a producer on his show, and he needs to find the best content. To sit here and pretend that this is some sort of psychological form is just hilarious. There's nothing helpful about this. There's nothing even being discussed here.
I'm going to let Bailey move on, and when I come back, I'm going to talk to Jasmine about how to protect herself from this, and we'll talk to Bailey's mom next. We'll be right back.
I apologize that I offended you in any way, shape, or form. That was never my intention.
Well, you saw.
Of course it wasn't her intention to offend anybody. She has clearly been invited onto the show, ridiculed after coming on, being made a spectacle by Dr. Phil. Clearly, as she said in her own words, this is how she feels. And then gets kicked off, for some clear bullshit that Dr. Phil had made up on the spot. Of course she had no intention of offending him. What do you gain out of offending someone that wants to help you? But Dr. Phil clearly has something to gain out of being this fucking snarky piece of shit to some random-ass girl with clear mental issues, as outlined by the segment.
Certainly have. So, Christopher, if you'll take Bailey off, it's good to meet you, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
I'm not doing this.
Wow, what a hero. And there you have it. Dr. Phil schools some teenage punk. Dr. Phil is probably the prime example of what would happen if you leave someone with a psychology degree in Hollywood. Clearly didn't have any sort of vengeance or malintent into saying any of the words that she said from the two clips. She didn't have any malintent in saying it. She just wanted to know whether or not her mother would be on the program, and then she wanted to voice her opinions without being ridiculed by Dr. Phil, without being put on a pedestal, without a light being shined in front of her on national television. But yeah, no, what an excruciating situation to watch unfold before you. These two excruciating and unbearable clips to watch are just proof, a testament, that Dr. Phil is not in the business of being a real psychologist, or even being someone that helps. But he is, however, in the business of being a big piece of shit.